Hello there, you 300,000 wonders and growing. This channel is about spiritual awakening. The whole point of it is spiritual awakening. What do you mean spiritual awakening? Sometimes people just mean I want to feel better. That's all they mean. Sometimes when I talk about enlightenment and waking up, I think I just don't want to feel sad anymore. I don't want to feel dependent on external things. Well, what I mean by spiritual awakening now is being able to observe my own character and traits in present time. That means that when I feel angry or fearful or sad or lustful or anything, I'm able to maintain a process of inner observation. I can't do that all the time yet, so I guess I'm not fully awakened. Sometimes I feel angry and I fall into a little pit of anger. Same with sadness or fear. But a book I've been reading lately that I think you will find interesting is this by Kabir Helminski. It's called Living Presence, A Sufi Way to Mindfulness and the Essential Self. The reason I find this book attractive is a lot of my friends are either atheistic or agnostic. Certainly I don't have loads of mates that are like proper spiritual, out there, new age, crystal clutching darlings, although I've got loads of time for those people as well. This takes you from a sort of a materialistic and rationalistic perspective to one of spirituality pretty easily. Check out this chapter called Soul Work and Reflecting Spirit. Firstly, it uses quotes from the great mystic, saint and poet Rumi. He writes, "Abundance is seeking the beggars and the poor, just as beauty seeks a mirror. Beggars then are mirrors of God's abundance, and they that are with God are united with absolute abundance." Sometimes I hear spiritual stuff like that, I think, what do you mean by that? That if you're in a state of penury and poverty, you have access to riches. What do we mean by abundance? It's worth reflecting for a moment now, isn't it? That your brain is the organ that processes all sensation, all apparently external stimuli passes through the brain, all sensory information. And the brain is encased in a skull in perpetual darkness. All the information received by, translated by, transduced by the brain is happening in there inside that organ. So everything that you imagine to be external to some degree is an internal phenomena. In this chapter, the nature of self is discussed. Check this bit out. Education, as it is currently understood, particularly in the West, ignores the human soul or essential self. This essential self is not some vague entity whose existence is a matter of speculation, but our fundamental I, which has been covered over by social conditioning. In North America, we are in great need of a form of training that would contribute to the awakening of the essential self. Such forms of training have existed in other eras and cultures and have been available to those with a yearning to awaken from the sleep of their limited conditioning and know the potential latent in the human being. We are made to know ourselves. We are created for this self-awareness. We are fully equipped for it. What could be more important than to know ourselves? I like the idea that the author introduces us to the notion of the I. You who are watching this, you who are listening to this right now, who are you? Who are you in there? Who were you before you had your name? Who is it that is translating this information? These meditative techniques or spiritual techniques outlined here, or at least referred to here, are a way of discriminating between and discerning the type of stimuli we have, the type of stimuli we respond to, and who is responding to the stimuli. When I'm in a state of attraction or rejection, it's very difficult for me to remain present in the absolute. In this moment, though, I'm able to feel myself. I'm able to feel my frustration as I talk and make this video, knowing that I've got to do a podcast in a minute with somebody else. I'm able to observe my own bodily movements. And this is because I've spent a lot of time doing breath work, inventorying different states of mind, meditating, and following the practices suggested, if not by this particular book, or even by Sufism, by various mystic strands that occur throughout different religions. Vedic philosophy has mystic strands and is an especially mystical tradition. Christianity obviously does, although it has been deeply secularized and rebooted in most Western cultures. Islam, in the form of Sufism, obviously has a mystic strand. And what I mean by mysticism are deep, apparently altered states accessible to all of us that are distinct from our normal way of being. What do we even mean when we say awakened? What I mean is that we are no longer tethered to external stimuli. We are able to look at the stimulation, the feelings that we feel within ourselves, and objectively determine how and indeed whether or not to respond to it. I come from a background, as you obviously know, of addiction. What's beautiful about being an addict is if you're a heroin addict, as I was, or a crack addict, or a chronic alcoholic, or any kind of chemically dependent person, sooner or later you'll reach a point of crisis where something has to be done. You have to experience a fundamental shift, otherwise your illness will kill you or take you out. It will lead you back home to a spiritual life. Certainly that's one route you can go on. I know lots of people that are in recovery that haven't undergone a process of spiritual awakening like I'm describing. I know loads of people that are happy to have a job, happy to have a family, happy to not be in active addiction. But I also know a lot of people that have recognized that there is a calling, that I have received a call, that you are receiving a call too. It is a deeply personal thing, but somehow universal. What I mean by it's deeply personal is there is an awakening for you that is just yours, that it is not mine, that you can't be instructed, that you can't just download as a wholesale prescription method, that you have to know yourself deeply. What we're trying to do, I believe, is become aware of our own reaction to apparently external phenomena and be able to remain calm and serene and present while that stimulation is happening. For me, that requires daily meditation, daily reflection, daily service, attendance of groups with other like-minded people. I've been working on some new breathwork techniques based on stuff I learned from Wim Hof and Biet Simkin. I've been using some tapping that I learned off of Nick Ortner. I've been using EDMR, looking from side to side. I'm coming up with different mad techniques. I don't even know if I want to fully share this with you yet, but like techniques are starting to occur to me that create altered states. Now, any of you that have ever been drug addicts or alcoholics will know that there is something very appealing about not continually being mired in the fluctuating vicissitudes of everyday emotion. You wake up in the morning, you feel a bit down and you feel a bit sad. You go through the day, you look on your phone, you get a message that cheers you up a little bit so you feel a bit better, but then you're stuck in traffic so you feel a little bit worse, or you watch something on a screen that makes you go on a bit of a downer. I'm interested in accessing aspects of our consciousness that are ever present but difficult to connect with due to the fact that we live primarily in sensory reality, because the sensual world is so potent and readily available. This table is very much a table. I can see it's a table. I can hear it's a table. It doesn't seem to me to be mostly space, molecules separated by vast space on all sides. Knowing yourself, your deepest self, your inner reality, is a difficult process precisely because the external world is so vivid and appealing. In this book, the author Kabir Helminski says that the inner life is capable of giving you all of the pleasure and joy, beauty, bliss and connection that we seek in the outside world. Think of the ways you've looked to be happy through approval, through success, through achievement, through drugs or sex or fame or money. Who knows what different techniques you've tried. I sometimes find it hard to believe that it might be possible to access these things within us. But of course the pleasure is taking place internally. Michael Singer, when he came on my podcast Under the Skin, when I talked to him about the use of pornography and how appealing it can be, says the irony is that during those states when you're looking at pornography, what you're attempting to do is channel. You're attempting to access bliss. Now, there's no question that sexual activity has a very literally physical, biochemical, evolutionary function, but the pleasure attached to it, the bliss, the transcendence is, Singer believes, many spiritual people believe, accessible without recourse to the external stimuli. Do you believe it's possible to feel ecstasy, transcendence, glory, connection without the use of drugs, without the use of drink, without the aid of sex or pornography or chocolate or sugar or approval or money or fame or whatever the thing is that you've been relying on? Because I'm here to tell you that it is possible, but I'm also here to tell you that it's really, really difficult and requires a lot of discipline. But the problem is with the external things is they always lead you to the same place, a kind of despair, a kind of loss, a kind of emptiness. What I mean awakening is awakening to the exact moment that you're living in right now. That's what Eckhart Tolle told me once personally on the phone. Name drop. He said, you can only be happy in this exact present moment. The conceptual mind can never make you happy. The problem we have as a society is alluded to in the short passage that I just read you. We don't recognize that the state we live in is unnatural. We're told that the world should make us happy, the material world can never make you more than fleetingly distracted. It can give you pleasure, but it can never give you the deep abiding joy that comes from presence in the moment. These techniques, be they meditative, pursuit of psychedelic experience, which is never going to be open to me again, it seems, or respiratory work, there are many, many routes to it, and I think all of us have to work on which particular set of principles we are going to deploy in our own journey to awakening. But what I know is true is that all of us must find a path. All of us must get on a path. Otherwise, we're doomed to continue to seek this inner light externally, and there will be no answer in that direction. But I want to hear from you what your path is. Do you believe in Sufism? Do you believe in yoga, Christianity? What set of principles are you using? Do you believe that it comes from nature? Are you spending time in nature? What are your ideas on service and enlightenment in general? Do you think that we have become too rational and have lost touch with the mystical and emotional aspect of reality that we all require in order to be happy? Hit me up with all that stuff in the comments below. Give this video a little thumbs up. Subscribe to it if you're not a subscriber already. And please join the conversation because it's an ongoing one. Stay free.